Yo, what is up guys, Boy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So this video is a quick preview and prediction for Fabio Wardley versus David Adeleye. Now of course this fight goes down on the undercard of Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. That fight in particular, I have no real interest in. However, this fight between Fabio Wardley and David Adeleye is one of my favourite domestic fights of the year, and weirdly, one of the fights I'm looking forward to most from now till the end of the year. I like a good domestic heavyweight fight, and you know this fight delivers that. Two unbeaten young guys on the come up. Of course, there's a bit of beef, there's a bit of a rivalry between these two. And yeah, man, I think these sort of fights make for great entertainment. It is a shame this fight is happening in Saudi Arabia, because obviously Fabio Wardley is the British heavyweight champion. It would have been nice if this was in the UK, so we could see that title on the line. And, you know, I think this sort of fight in front of the UK crowd would generate a real interesting atmosphere, a real fun atmosphere. But, you know, we are where we are, and yeah, this fight will take place in Saudi Arabia. Now, I'm not going to do this prediction in my usual way, because I haven't had time to go back and watch these guys to refreshen my mind. I'm just going to give you my general thoughts on the fight, and yeah, at the end of the video, I'll make my prediction. I will say this, I am expecting a good fight between these two. They are very well matched. Fabio Wardley is 28, whereas David Adeleye is 26. Both guys are inexperienced, and sometimes that can make for a good fight. Both guys are a similar height. Wardley is 6'5", Adeleye is 6'4.5", and even in terms of weight, there's not too much between these guys. Wardley comes in a little heavier. He weighs in at the mid-230s to low 240s, whereas Adeleye has, in his previous fight, came in at 235, so they're even a similar weight, so it's evenly matched across the board. I think one of the aspects that is going to be very important in this fight is who holds it together mentally. Obviously, that's always important, right? No shit, in a prize fight. That's always important, but we're dealing with two inexperienced guys here. Fabio Wardley's only had 16 pro fights with no amateur pedigree, whereas David Adeleye has had 12 pro fights, but he does have some amateur pedigree. It is also worth noting that Wardley has fought a higher level of competition as a pro. He's not fought a murderer's row, but, you know, even a Nathan Gorman, for example, is far better than anybody David Adeleye has ever fought, in my opinion. But both of these guys are very inexperienced, and to me, one key aspect about this fight is who holds it together on the night. Because when you combine these guys and their inexperience and the personal feeling between these two, there's definitely some beef there. When you combine those two factors, you could see a scenario where both guys deviate from the game plan and fight more on emotion, more so than the game plan. And that's an aspect I really like about this fight. It could turn into a street fight. So yeah, if one of these guys could hold it together, remain more composed, remain calm, that could take them a long way in this sort of fight. Interestingly, obviously Fabio Wardley is a big favourite. Well, he's a favourite. I'm not sure whether he's a big favourite, but most people I see are picking Wardley. And listen, he's slightly taller. I think he's slightly longer. He is the more naturally athletic guy. Sometimes Wardley, well, a lot of the time he will fight with his hands down. He'll spear that jab to the body, come upstairs with it, and try to lull you into a straight right hand. He's a very athletic fighter, fights on reflexes. You can tell he's a guy who turned to boxing late, but he's developed a style that he thinks works for himself. But that style does have flaws, you know. Wardley, as I said, low hands. When he exchanges, his chin is right on the line, right in the air. And he backs up in straight lines also when he's being pressured, again, with his chin in the air, and most of the time with his hands down. One thing about Adeleye, I know he didn't impress against Kamil Sakalovsky, but one thing about Adeleye, I think his base style, I think he's got better construct than Fabio Wardley. I think he maintains balance a little bit better. I think he remains more compact. And when he throws punches overall, he is just a little more defensively responsible. If he throws the jab, he'll try and bring the jab back to protect his chin. Same with the right hand, etc. He's got better basic fundamentals than Fabio Wardley. And that's one thing that could stand him in good stead if this fight turns into a firefight, basically, where these guys exchange. Wardley may be the quicker guy, but I believe Adeleye maintains his construct a little bit better. He maintains his shape a little bit better. And in exchanges, that could be key. It could be key. And I think that those better fundamentals of Adeleye could definitely, pick some holes in Wardley's type of style. Having said that, Adeleye himself has flaws, particularly when he initiates attacks and when he lets go of combinations. He tends to square up when he throws combos, and he tends to throw combos quite wide at times with looping shots and hooks. One thing about Wardley, he can fire down the pipe very quickly with his straight right hand. He can roll with those looping shots and fire one straight down the middle. And that straight right hand of Wardley, I think, will be Adeleye's biggest issue in this fight. The biggest danger for him in this fight is Wardley's straight right hand. Because for me, Adeleye is open for it. He is open for it. And I think that really plays into Wardley's best chances in this fight, is to maintain range against Adeleye. Adeleye, to me, is the more natural fighter on the front foot. He is the more naturally aggressive fighter. Wardley's the type of guy who likes to step around you, pop the jab, look for the openings for his straight right. That's where I think Wardley is most comfortable, when he's dancing on the outside, popping the jab, looking for the straight right, when he's maintaining range. He can mix it up, of course. We saw that against Nathan Gorman. Gorman had success against Wardley, caught him with some good shots, busted his nose, and then Wardley, he engaged Gorman into a firefight. So we know Wardley can engage in a firefight also, but he was getting tagged in that fight. And I think that's the sort of fight Adeleye needs to force from Wardley. He needs to draw Wardley into a firefight. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to try and walk down Wardley and get up close. Try and take some of the distance away from Wardley so he can't load up with the straight right hand. I know Wardley still has pretty good uppercuts, but overall on the inside, I would say that favours David Adeleye. So yeah, for me, the distancing is key in this one. Has to be on the outside for Wardley, whereas Adeleye needs to try and make this a more of a mid-range / inside fight. He needs to make it a rough fight. But again, it's a fight in which I can see either guy winning. I know Wardley's been more impressive in his pro career so far. I do question the authenticity of some of Wardley's fights. Richard Latte, for example, Eric Molina, etc. But he's certainly been more impressive than Adeleye. But I do have a feeling that Adeleye's style could cause Wardley some issues here. When this fight was first made or first talked about, I was actually picking Adeleye to win, to pull off the upset. I'm not quite as confident in that now, I have to say, now the fight's here. I'm not quite as confident in that. But I think I'm going to stick with my initial gut instinct, which is Adeleye pulls off the upset win. I believe he knocks out Fabio Wardley. I'm not going to say when, because I think it's one of those fights that could get crazy. Either guy could go in this one, first round or 5th round or 7th round or 10th round or 12th round. I think it's one of those fights. But I'm going to go Adeleye. We're going to go Adeleye with the upset knockout in this one. And by the way, is this fight a 10-rounder or a 12-rounder? I'll be furious if this is a 10-rounder, by the way. I'll be furious. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great fight. It's a really interesting fight. Good domestic fight. Two young heavyweights. Bit of beef. What more do you want? The only thing that makes it better is if this fight was in the UK, but it is what it is. Anyway, share your thoughts below. Who are you picking to win this fight? Peace.